Hello and welcome to When Will It End, the musical 2, where we all work at the same golf course and one of us wants to win an award of the thing.
That'd be so great.
It's When Will It End, the podcast.
I want to work at a golf course with you.
That'd be really fun, I think.
Yeah.
This was not a good movie. Allison was right. She said before it was not a good movie, and I got to say, this was a bad movie.
Were we aiming for a 5-minute episode? I've never had one of those before.
I think this could be a fiver, a tight
This
fiver.
could be really quick.
Yeah. Okay, so we're doing High School Musical 2. You may recall from our first episode, we were joined by special guest, my fiance, Allison Lerman-Gluck. Allison?
Hello. Thank you for having me back for this very wonderful movie review.
Yes.
Allison, I wouldn't consider this to be an episode of the HSMverse without you.
That's really kind of you, Charles. Thank you so very much. And I'm glad that you associate me with the High School Musical franchise.
I'm sorry. I realize now that you said that.
It's also my chief association with Allison.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's really, after this one, the first one, I was like, oh my God. Allison's telling us all about it. She starred in it. I know nothing.
Well, yeah. I was going to say attentive listeners will recall that Allison played Sharpay in a regional production of High School Musical that won her local accolades and made her much the icon in the greater metropolitan area of Albany.
But just to clarify, that production was High School Musical 1.
Now, let me ask you this,
2.
Allison. If they had brought you the script for 2 and said, Allie, because this
pull the plug.
This came out a year after the first movie. The turnaround on this,
which is wild.
Yes,
they pumped it out.
It makes sense, though.
It feels that way. Yeah,
right. Because I think it's a smash hit, an unexpected smash hit, and this is what you get when you spend how much. So you're in the play business. I don't know if it has any correlation to the movie business, but how long do you think it takes to actually shoot a movie or make a play or something like this? I'm just saying, how much time was spent on creating the script and the story and the themes and everything that's important in art, and how much of it is just I feel like they had no time to actually create this movie.
That sounds accurate, but also they were churning out Disney Channel movies multiples every year, so it's not that wild.
Well,
yeah.
The thing is that I think what we're all hitting on is that in the first movie, there's a lot of hallmarks of the lived American experience that make sense to us as viewers and are things we can relate to, and high school and the big end of your musical and the basketball game or whatever. And in this movie, we pivot to the talent show at a country club.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
Inherently does not have the gravitas of anything in the first movie. So we're left watching kind of the themes of the first movie get reiterated in a watery way.
Just when we start to get excited about engaging with all these characters in their high school setting, they rip us rudely out of that setting and throw us into the desert.
Exactly. It's this is called High School Musical. It's not called High School Vacation Musical, which would be a very bad title for something. And I was thinking last episode, the first movie doesn't even need to exist. It's sort of the Shrek of the High School Musicals. It sets us the characters. It sets the stage, this vibrant world of the high school. And then it ends with them leaving the high school. And unlike Shrek, where leaving where does Shrek take place? Never ever after?
The swamp.
Yeah. Rather than staying in that fucking beautiful swamp, it creates other worlds that are interesting and allow the themes to grow, because it's about fatherhood and abandonment and growth and all these things. This is just about the desert. I don't know.
Well, we do see we finally get inside the hovel that Troy lives in. That fucking that shack by the sewers that his family lives in.
Let's talk about how they decide to change the class backgrounds of all the characters to make it seem like they're all working class except for Sharpay's family. And somehow now Troy needs a scholarship to get to basketball school, but everyone was living in mansions in the first.
Well,
it
also,
seemed they were all at least upper middle class.
Have you ever seen a wood fridge before?
No, that's a very
Where was there a wood fridge?
So I took notes again, and much like last episode where my first one was how cool the hats were, I think my first note this time was equally incisive. It just says all caps, wood fridge, ? Troy has a wooden fridge.
That's weird.
And I don't know if that's a Disney exec trying to show how shitty this person's house is, that wow, a poor person probably just has like a wooden refrigerator. I've never been inside a poor person's house, but I'm imagining everything's just made out of wood.
Plywood.
I will say that Troy's bedroom is larger than any apartment I lived in New York City.
Yeah.
It's massively large. Also, we made a little bit of a discovery, which is that it seems like Troy's bedroom in the second movie is Gabriella's bedroom in the first movie, with the furniture moved to the other side of the room.
A classic room swap.
Little tea there.
Yeah.
We were watching Schitt's Creek together, and there's this hysterical thing where they only can afford, I think, one exterior. So the cafe is also David's shop with like a sign change. It's so funny. I love noticing shit like that where it's like,
oh, it's not on purpose.
Well, I mean, I just think it's out of necessity, but you end up getting this very funny, like, how small is this world we're living in where like every room and building is essentially the same room and building. But okay, so this movie also, like, we really stick to a few sets in this. We spend a huge amount of time in like 3 areas basically, which I found very monotonous. We're in the kitchen a lot, which of course, again, is a kitchen the size of a fucking basketball court. And then we're like on the golf course, and then like
by the pool.
We're by the pool a fair amount. So we were talking about this. Allison, you, of course, are someone who wears bathing suits, and you were a high schooler. You were noting how strange the Disney fashion was.
Everyone was wearing tankinis with baggy bottoms.
Yeah. Was that the thing?
But I think that was for modesty's sake.
Okay.
Like, they just had to keep it modest and PG.
But everyone ends up looking like it's like a dystopian science fiction movie, like from the 70s.
Not cute.
Yeah, it's everyone looks quite odd.
But the hats continue, which we're glad to see.
Yeah.
I say Ryan again continues a very strong hat game.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna. I do want to say I'm not gonna. I was about to give something away, and I'm not gonna do it because I'm back committed. Josh, I had a week off, and my commitment is back to making good podcasting.
Wow. I mean, if this holds
That's
up
huge.
through the episode, I'll be thrilled.
We'll see. I'm gonna do my best. I was about to give away my MVP, and I realized I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna talk about something else.
Okay, I will note that I brought up Ryan, and you immediately then said, I will not reveal my MVP.
We're just going to edit that all out.
Moving on.
Yes, okay, right.
One person that, so again, we abandoned the high school, which we've already lamented. That is the place where that's the lifeblood of this movie, is the cliques and the halls and the lockers.
If you'll permit me just briefly, because before we move away from this point, this reminded me so much of Star Trek, where the second they set up a nice, foundation for a series, they like immediately find a way to start rejecting it in the second movie and like going dark and going like I think there's this tendency in second movies that we see time and time again to like try to reinvent the wheel, like maybe not as dramatically as like a T2 or something, which like completely inverts a dynamic, but like it's very irritating when we get a taste of something that we like and then the sequel immediately removes us from that. Like what works with Paddington 2, and I cannot wait until we can do the Paddington movies.
Me too.
Because like Paddington 2 is like, you liked Paddington? Great. We're going to give you an even better Paddington. And it's so sick. So to watch this, like so many other second movies that we've been really frustrated by, it like we see something that's like pleasant and inviting and sets up a lot of things that we can relate to and then rips us out of that. And
I'm reminded, Charles, that you said that this movie made 10 times the amount of money that the first movie made.
I don't know the money, but the first one had some fucking dumb like 7 million views, and this one had almost 20 million views on when it was aired.
So bonkers. And when you said that last weekend, I was truly aghast for reasons that you now understand.
Yeah.
Well, namely the score. Oh my God.
It's a very bad score.
Before we get too far away, I want to I was singing MVPs, and one person I forgot to mention last week was the theater teacher.
Mrs. Garbus.
What was that?
Mrs. Garbus.
Okay, Mrs. Garbage. Yeah, she is incredible. And I don't think we talked about her at all, really. And she is hilarious. Her interactions with Dad were like funny, but also moved the plot to a great new place. And the opening scene is her. And I'm like, fuck, yes, we get to have her antics with Ryan. And the opening scene is bewilderingly like I don't know. It made me uncomfortable. The giant clock, like the choices were
really weird.
Yeah, it was great.
It's really weird. They're all doing performance art or something.
Well, okay, so something that we talked about while watching it is that in the first movie, the first song is this really like natural, beautiful moment where two people have this passion kindled in themselves unexpectedly, and they strike up a relationship with each other and themselves through this act of singing in a way that's actually diegetic to the movie. Like they're singing in a singing thing at a concert, whatever.
You said diegetic.
Yeah, I was waiting to bust that one
Show
out.
off.
Yeah,
Bit
but
of
you
a
also
show-off.
said singing, and you pronounced like that first G really hard, and you said it like 4 times in a row. So that was really cool
Singing.
too.
I blame radio 100%. I blame radio.
Singing.
That's a byproduct of my job to overhit consonants.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to go like singing.
Yeah.
You know we don't say it singing, right? Most, like, we're in the north.
Well, Allie's from Mississippi, and occasionally her accent will emerge.
I mean,
Singing.
I was talking about the first G too. Like, you don't have to hit both so hard. Singing.
Okay, we can
Singing.
submit notes to just email the pod if that includes both of you with criticism of my voice, and we will get. I promise you, we'll dig into the mailbag and break them all.
You know,
down.
it'll be all encompassing.
I'm certain it will, Charles.
All
I expect nothing less. But no,
encompassing.
okay, if we're done dunking on Josh and his way of speech, and I swear to God,
All encompassing.
oh my God,
Josh, I'm sorry. I have to do it because you are an award-winning journalist. This is how you make a living, and you're very good at it. And what is a little loving rib every now and again? You know, you're successful, you're powerful, you're perfect. So
keep it going. This is good.
Yeah. How can I compete other than showing the tiny, insignificant mistakes you make every now and again? Like,
Well, this is just good for me because around the house, Allison just calls me old shit dick.
oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dog shit, shit dick, poop face.
I come home from work and I'm like, oh, I've made good news today, governor. And she goes, shut up, shit dick.
Is that code?
No, it's very literal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm-
It's a long story, but.
So you have shit on your dick.
Anyhow,
Okay, let's move past it. Okay, so in this movie, unlike the first movie where the singing is like a natural thing that like it creates a human moment between two people and again is like the seed of the entire movie, this begins with this weird surreal like everyone just is immediately in a musical. So the tone of it from the get-go,
Summer, summer, summer.
right.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
chant summer in
Right,
a
so-
terrifying way.
I totally agree. Like the first movie grounds us in these are people having an experience together that's going to pay off later on. And in this one, from the instant it begins, we're in like a weird fantasy world where it's really unclear whose perspective we're following, what's going on. Like I thought it was just like a bad foot for it to start on. Like we know, okay, so I'm going to pitch something to you, Allison. You're a theater professional, and Charles, you're a fan of movies. What if the play started with, oh my God, it's summer. Like, how are we going to keep our relationships? It's magic that we experience together. Or maybe it starts just after the musical, which of course we famously do not see. Like, there's so many ways they could have started this on a human note and instead opt for this like insanely generic, like, it's almost vacation, gonna go swimming, which is like literally the lyrics to that song.
I think this you're making the point why this movie failed is that its focus in every way almost hit the mark. And I think the relationship falling apart between Vanessa and Zach, where were they? Gabrielle,
Troy and Gabriella.
Troy and Gabrielle. I'm going to cut out the first
And that
part.
electric chemistry that they share when they throw fruit at each other by a pool.
And I like that so the plot is interesting. It's like about a person that has new goals. And while he thought he just wanted to love Vanessa his whole life, he now sees that there's a whole new world where he's good at basketball and he could go to college for free. He could become a basketball star and he's not giving enough time to his friends, to his relationship. And I think that's actually a pretty compelling thing for high schoolers to go. They do go through that. And this movie brought that up and then fucking just fell apart trying to actually acknowledge these ideas.
And it's also like the goals of the characters keep shifting because at first Sharpay wants to get Troy a job and then it seems like Sharpay wants to get Troy to fall in love with her and then maybe she just wants him to be her singing partner but then she wants to steal him away from Vanessa. Like there's just a lot of different things going on all the time that make it very hard to like feel any connection to the plot. But I thought it was interesting that Disney Channel tried to do something that talked about class I think we can talk about whether or not it was successful, and listeners, you can probably guess whether I think it was based on the rest of our conversation. But it was they swung.
Okay, so I want to just draw on this for a minute. So, Allison, Sharpay is in that mental closet of yours. Sharpay is one of the outfits you've worn.
What else
That's right. We said she's buried pretty deep, but she's there.
Charles, we do not have the time for the question you're about to ask.
I want to know what else is in the closet.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry.
So Allison, you've inhabited the role of Sharpay. This movie gives her and her character a lot to do, which I think actually is one of the strengths of the movie because I quite like Sharpay. Do you feel like this is an evolution or a continuation of the character that's honest to the Sharpay we all fell in love with in High School Musical 1?
Well, part of what you were so excited about, Josh, was that at the end of High School Musical 1, Sharpay has a turnaround moment where she decides that she actually doesn't need to compete with Gabriella and she can be friends with her.
Right.
And that's sort of a nice closure moment that immediately in the second movie, they're like, actually, fuck that. They hate each other and let's keep this drama moving, which is pretty true to like the high school movie sort of like, that's often one of the plot points in high school movies, like two girls feuding. But yeah, we sort of saw some more of her humanity. And then in High School Musical 2, Sharpay is 0% human. Like she is just a maniac, pretty much, like trying to tear everyone down, and she's power hungry and fame hungry, and she's doing it all so she can win a trophy at a talent show at the country club that her parents own. So like the stakes are literally invisible. There are no stakes.
Right, and she just appears to be having like a deep psychological experience that seems very dark, and it's a little unpleasant. She seems tortured. But like she like opens the door to her shitty high school friends, and suddenly like another part of her life is like ripped away from her by like the irritating quality of friendship.
I liked the introduction of Mummy and Daddy though.
Yeah, so that's
I thought they were cool.
Ryan became. I have one note here that says Ryan vibes like he's platonically dating everyone in his family. And I love that the dad is great, the mom is great, and Ryan is great. And it's like, why did Sharpay end up such a villain when she's gotten so much love apparently because her dad is just like so inclusive and just celebratory and nice and just always has a nice thing to say. I want to be in that family.
Well, one of the weirdest things in the movie is that no one seems to notice Sharpay's behavior. Like literally no one reacts to it at any point.
Except for Ryan.
Right.
And it just seems like that Fulton, that complete like destroyed bald cuck of a man who's just destroyed by Sharpay emotionally. Like, he seems to get most of the brunt of that. But her parents are like, oh, Sharpay, you're always up to some shenanigans.
Yeah, and I think that's why this movie could have been perfect. This movie could have been better because it brought up Ryan and Sharpay's relationship, which in the first movie wasn't really explored that deeply. And this is like, oh, Ryan feels left out. He feels unloved. And then the Gabriella, I mean, I don't know if I would have gone there with, but if they are, there's like an interesting idea where Gabriella really doesn't give a fuck. And I like the scene where she just is like, you know what, Troy, fuck this. This is not worth my time and I'm going to go now. And if they had found a way to conclude this that didn't just completely slap Band-Aids on everything and was like, oh, everyone's okay again. Like the first one, it felt earned where everyone was like friends. And this one, it just felt like they needed to have a happy ending to a pretty dark movie.
Yes, I agree with you. And also, I thought that Ryan's plot is so interesting. I wish that they had dug into it a lot more in this movie, and less into Troy and Gabriella's plot, which is really saying something because we see almost nothing of Gabriella in this movie. Like, she has a solo song, and then basically all we see of her, like a few scenes where she gets disappointed by Troy. Like, she doesn't have any of her own plot going on at all. We don't know what she's up to during the day. Like, we know she's by the pool or something. Whereas we see Troy, Sharpay, and Ryan every single day. And we see more of Chad as well. So it's quite strange. And part of me wonders whether they didn't feel that Vanessa Hudgens was capable of having a larger chunk because she is a truly, and I don't mean to say this with offense, but she is a truly heinous actor and singer.
Her vocals
she's
are
bad.
really bad in this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even a singer, and like it's just very nasal and one note and flat, and
So I wanted to
it's
ask,
pretty remarkable.
Allison, you thought Troy's voice was great last movie, and then you realized that it wasn't actually Troy. So you definitely he's in a lower range. What did you think of the new Troy?
I thought he sounded exactly the same as in the first movie, but with a lower voice. I thought he sounded awesome.
Great.
Was I wrong? He sounded the same, right? Like very similar.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's this very. I don't know enough about the genre, but it sounded very similar. But you could definitely tell it was. He's very good at singing, and I can see why he was cast. It's just very strange in the first movie that they were like, "Oh, we already wrote this for someone with a higher voice, but we cast someone that doesn't have that voice, so let's just have a."
They could
fake.
easily have transposed the songs.
Exactly.
It's something that people do very, very regularly.
I've seen it.
But yeah, I thought that they must have tried to find a singer for the first movie who already sounded exactly like Zac Efron, because there was not a distinguishable difference in the voices.
But we have turned an important corner here that I've been waiting for, baby, all episode gall dang long, because Charles, Allison, and I did a little extra curric.
Oh,
We
come
did?
on now. Are
We
you gonna
sure
sing?
did,
Are you
you
gonna sing me a
stupid
ditty?
son of a bitch. No, absolutely not.
Oh.
No, we were watching.
What time is it? Summertime.
I was.
It's our
Okay.
vacation.
I've been getting this all weekend. The morning after, I was like, man, I can't remember any of those songs. Then Allison proceeded to sing verbatim.
Bet on it, bet on it,
Yeah.
bet on it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I like when Bet on It when he's like loping across the golf course doing the jack off motion. That was a pretty good. That choreography was great. Okay, so we were watching on Netflix some of Zac Efron's travel show.
Oh, baby. How is
So
that?
Zac Efron, like many Disney stars, led a rough life. And just at the top of this, I'm not belittling at all people's experiences with addiction or mental health issues. These are serious issues, and I'm not saying that this is like I'm not making fun of Zac Efron for suffering these things. But you see him in a High School Musical playing this like. He's the linchpin of this entire franchise because his experience of bafflement, self-betrayal, guilt, like he really has to inhabit all of the emotional fulcrum of the movie, and he has like I don't know what the Disney movie Kid Face that he does
Oh.
like
I thought you meant a Disney movie called Kid Face.
you never seen Kid Face? You don't want to hear about the cast of that. Again,
I've only
a
seen
really
Kid
dark
Face
story.
3. I just jumped right into the middle.
Kid Face 2 loses its way, but it really comes back with Kid Face 3. But no, so like, I think about like, Zac Efron making his like tortured, aghast, like,
Right.
face of like, what do I do?
Me?
And like, it seems like, I'm not sure, I'm not blaming High School Musical for this, but like Zac Efron has had a life where he's dealt with alcoholism and substance abuse issues, and it seems like based on this Netflix series, he's like latched on to this like health food guru named Darren. He's like, I was on Instagram and I saw Darren posting about, like, I don't know, drinking durian pulp out of your butthole. And I realized that like Darren was my guru. And like the show is like a Zac Efron who is either stoned or hungover, depending on the scene, like wandering around France, like looking at like fresh water springs and talking to priests about miracles. It's genuinely.
It sounds
My
good.
favorite part of this series is Darren and Zach are in the car together driving to France or something. And Zach decides to show Darren one of his many acting tricks, which is
This is so dark.
crying. So he wants to show Darren that he can cry on command, and he's kind of like braggadocious about it. Like he's like, "Hey man, want to see what I can do? It's no big deal, but like I can cry right here, right now. Like I could cry if I wanted to." And Darren's like, "Okay, like I guess let's see you cry." And then Zach just looks off into the distance and kind of squints, and he does the exact face that he does as Troy when Troy is sad. And he conjures tears just sort of to the front of his eyes, and then he looks at Darren and he goes, "See?" And it's like, yeah, that's the trick that you did in High School Musical.
It's a
10
good
years
trick.
ago.
Being
And look
able
at you doing it
to
now.
summon up
today.
inner pain. Like that is his job. And like that's what this show this
Like
series
you don't need to show off to like by making yourself cry. That's what actors do. That's your job.
You might know this, Josh, already, but do you know the Patrick Stewart trick of when he needs to cry as an actor?
No, please walk me through it.
You don't know this? I forget what I was watching, some documentary he was in it, and he thinks of the final episode of The Next Generation.
Time Zero Part 2? No, that's not it. Fuck. I got the wrong title. Shit.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
and I would
it's a
brag about
tearjerker.
that. That's about like, I don't know. It's interesting that you can use, Patrick Stewart uses like a happy moment to summon tears. Well, I just imagine Zac Efron just like, I don't know.
He's
thinking,
like, my puppy died.
Or his parents screaming at him.
that's what I was thinking. Like, just like some shitty meal he had. Just like, oh, I'm so disappointed.
It just seems like Zac Efron has not recovered yet from this experience. And
No.
it's kind of a bummer because, like, again, like he just seems
He's
so
frozen in time. Like, he seems like he's 17 or whatever,
Right,
perpetually.
he seems like he hasn't grown up. He seems like lost. Like the show was just him traipsing about places with some fucking jacked dork who like.
And being like truly shocked and stunned by everything that happens. Like, he has a sip of water and he's like, whoa, that's water. Like, it's just wild.
This sounds
and then,
great.
Like, the end of I cannot stress how fucking funny this is. The end of the France water episode, which again, like, I don't even the structure of that show is similarly just a mess. But the end of that episode ends with them being like, you know what's kind of cool? Catholicism. I'm not joking. The end of that episode is him being like, you know what's kind of sick? The Catholic Church.
I feel the faith.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, I may not be religious, but standing here with all these Catholics doing Catholic shit, it's pretty baller.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro,
it's true.
what has your life been like? This is like very strange.
Well, wait, Josh, have you ever stood in a Catholic place where Catholics do their Catholic shit?
Yeah, I found it very disconcerting.
Yeah.
Because the whole transubstantiation or whatever thing, like the eating of the Christ, like, look, Jews do all kinds of weird stuff. I'm not saying we're not weird. We're weird.
Yeah.
But like when they're like, we're now going to eat the body and drink the blood of Christ, and you're actually watching, like, it's like, I know not everyone thinks it's literal.
We do blood stuff with wine. On
Oh, you do?
Passover.
But, well, okay, but
we don't drink it, but we are supposed to use our finger to dot a dot of wine for every one of the plagues to symbolize blood.
Well, no, I don't think to symbolize
So
blood. I
it's-
think it's to like show that we're making a sacrifice. We're like removing
That
some of the
too. But I think
sweetness of the holiday.
The main difference that you're pointing out is that it's symbolic,
yes.
where the Catholic Church literally thinks that once the priest like spits on it or whatever the magic trick is, it turns into blood that still tastes
Which is a
like
COVID
wine.
nightmare, by the way.
Yeah, everything about it's a little sus. So
Yeah,
that's
but
the
you know,
key on that,
churches
sis.
got to open in phase 1. So, yeah,
Yeah,
even though they're
good for
like
them.
drinking blood.
Covering this for work has been so funny because all the Jews were like, we're not going to be opening. We're not going to be opening. No.
Waiting for
And
phase
Catholics
5.
are like, Catholics are like, well, the line will begin at 4 a.m. and in between each parishioner, we'll put down a tissue. And it's like,
And a pot
Jesus,
to put
y'all
money
are hungry
in.
as fuck for Christ's blood.
Don't forget about the money pot.
The old money pot.
Yeah.
That's what I call my butt.
Oh, really? So you're shit dick in
So
the money
getting
pot.
back to High School Musical, anyway, I wanted to talk about, and we touched on this earlier, when Ryan switches teams. Basically, he goes with the kids from school instead of with his sister. That's what I meant, and he gets pulled in as the choreographer for their number. Which when we're shown the piece of him choreographing and them rehearsing the dance, it's basically they're in a small room, they're in the round, so they're all like standing in a circle, jumping up and down in a very haphazard manner. There's no order to it whatsoever, and at the end they all seem very pleased with themselves. They're cheering, they're hugging, we did it. And then so we're like, great, we're going to see, I guess, this jumping number at the end when they do it for the talent show. They fight hard to get this number in the talent show, and they succeed. And the end of the movie comes around, and they never show us the number.
Yeah, it's so inexplicable.
Yeah. It's like maybe because we already saw it. I rewatched Speed Racer the other day.
Was it in Speed Racer?
Well, I'm just saying, like, the thing where the amazing way they edited that movie, where they're like, the evil guy's like, you're going to lose that race and I'm going to sue your dad. And then they like cut forward. They flash forward to all the things that are happening. So we get to see the race and see the thing, but we don't actually get to see the conclusion of it. And then it just cuts past it. So like you get a sense of this and then you never actually get to see the conclusion of it. And it's really amazing editing. That movie is fucking genius. And then maybe they're like, well, we already showed a really shitty version of this dance. Do we want to do another one? Or maybe they just got enough of it the first time.
But it's also like, so they decide to do You Are the Music and Me as their song. I think, I can only assume that's the song that they're doing because we're not shown another song. And then Sharpay does, or not Sharpay, Troy... Sharpay. Somebody does like a really bad version.
Sharpay does. Okay, we broke this down last night in the car, Allison.
Okay.
I'm a little.
Allison, I mean, Josh.
We fucking talked about
committed.
this. Yeah.
Josh is committed to good podcasting. I am also now committed to good podcasting.
Well, he interrupted me, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Remember the first time we see You Are the Music and Me, it's Gabrielle and Troy sing it with Kelsey at the piano.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The second time we see it, Sharpay does the. Okay, I'm gonna get it later.
Yeah,
Sharpay
I can tell.
does the really saccharine, irritating pop version of it. That's You Are the Music and Me.
It's more rock, like rocky,
like pop rock, like Ashley Simpson could do it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like a good Ash number for Ashley.
Or Sylvester
Ashley.
Stallone.
Or Sly Stallone, yeah.
Yeah.
The famous pop chanteuse.
Right.
And then we see it a third time back to classics.
Right. But actually we don't see it a third time because the third time they just play it while everyone is dancing outside. So if they were going to do it a third time as the performance, they should have showed us the dance that they were going to do. Instead of doing that, they show everyone frolicking underneath the stars and they play the same version of it from the beginning, the same recording with Kelsey introducing the song. And it's the exact same recording, which makes no sense. If you're going to do a song 3 times in a movie, at least switch it up, give us some choreo, something.
I actually thought they would finish with We're All in This Together again. I don't know why I thought that.
I kind of thought that too.
I think this movie had noticeably more music. And I think they did sort of come into the problem where they set it about making a talent show where people had to rehearse. And then they showed us all the rehearsals. And then it's like, oh, well, we also have to, the talent show is, the genius of the first one is that the musical is the movie we watched, and we don't actually need to see the musical anymore. Where this one, it's like, well, no, we want to see the, they can't, they just tried to have it actually go to the talent show, but then they realized, oh, all this music has been in the movie before, so how fucking boring an ending would that be? And it just imploded. And
they're like, we can't pull in 3 more bad songs because this is already getting quite lengthy.
Well, the plot is just so threadbare that they need these filler songs. And I'm happy you hit on this, Charles, because, excuse me, I burped. I was drinking a coffee drink earlier.
Pardon you.
Burped. Thank you. Forgive me to my guest. Forgive me to Charles. Sorry to Zach.
Please,
sorry to Ashley Tisdale. It was very sweet. I got a little kiss. Okay, so the brilliance of the name High School Musical is something we have not talked about yet, and it needs to be discussed because it is the most generic title for anything ever. It literally functionally describes what the first movie is literally about. It would be as though we rewatched Inception yesterday. Yikes. If they'd called it Loud Mind Crimes or something. You'd be like, yeah.
Wait, you watched Inception?
Yes.
We did, yeah.
Why?
It was my idea.
Well, we laughed a lot.
We watched it because I liked it a lot when I saw it in 2010.
I know.
What was the mitigating circumstance there?
I was 19 and extremely stoned.
Isn't it sad?
So I thought it was a great movie, but last night when we watched it, I realized that it is not a good movie.
I know. It's cool. There's some cool shit in it, and the movie itself is maybe his worst, I think. I think Interstellar is better than Inception.
Well, I'm never watching that again. That's for fuck's sake.
Great.
For goddamn sure. That's so fucking long. Inception is a loud, annoying movie, and the ideas are screamed at you, and by the end, you're like, oh boy. Anyways.
Yeah, my nerves were shot. We took a walk after we watched it, and I was jumping at everything that happened just because I was so fried from the tremor of the tenor of the movie and the tremor that it gave me.
And it was not a tenor, unlike Zac Efron, who established in the last episode is a tenor and a tenor. No, a bass and a tenor. Whatever, you get the idea.
He's a
we cooled
baritone.
down. Our third movie of we did a Serious Man, Inception, and we closed out the night with Eat, Pray, Love, which was better than Inception and actually a hate crime.
Wow.
I recommend Eat, Pray, Love for
never
it's
seen
just
it.
The wildest shit.
You don't have
it's
to
so
see
fucking
it.
funny. It's so good. The movie ends with Julia Roberts being like, I guess I'll date Javier Bardem.
Her main takeaway from her year of eating, praying, and loving is to save yourself, you have to save the world. And the way she saves the world is she gets her friends to give some money to a local medicine woman.
In Bali.
Oh, cool. I mean, that
and
works.
still makes that about her somehow.
Yeah.
A lot
Like,
of the movie,
I saved the world.
she's like a well-off,
Wait,
attractive.
You had a whole. You were talking about High School Musical.
I'm getting
before
back
you
to
got
it. We're doing a little tangent.
Okay.
And
It's allowed.
We're leaving Charles out because he hasn't.
he's going to react to what we're
wasn't
doing.
Part of these movies.
Charles, you're part of our lives, whether you like it or not. Anyways, the
I
point
like
is that
it.
in Eat, Pray, Love, you have to love yourself before you do anything else. And it's very important to really focus on you. And if you can love yourself, you can change the whole world.
I mean, isn't
Okay,
that what
so,
High School Musical 2 is about?
in a way.
No.
I have to
so
disagree
the
with
title-
you, Josh, because earlier you said the
Okay.
plot is threadbare. I disagree. I think the plot of High School Musical 2 is overwhelming. And they actually, as I said earlier, they try to tackle some very interesting ideas. And they also try to throw in 80% more music. And I think this should have been a 4-hour movie
Oh my God.
to really...
This is one of your wildest takes
No.
I've ever heard. That's no.
Well, just to do what it was trying to do, like they had a story about Ryan maybe wanting to fuck Chad.
Okay, the Ryan Chad sexual dynamic was definitely something that we picked up on.
And that whole, like, that dance, they had the Troy and Gabriella having a problem with their relationship. They had Ryan and Sharpay having problems with their relationship. They have basketball school. They have all sorts of shit. They have way too much shit.
I bet if Disney had only produced the 4-hour cut, we would have seen Ryan and Chad kiss.
At least a blowjob.
At least a blowjob, yeah. They don't have to kiss even.
No. Makes the blowjob worse,
Honestly,
in my
some people
opinion.
prefer not kissing. Yeah. But anyways, okay, so the name High School Musical is amazing in the first movie because you're totally right. We don't need to see the High School Musical. The movie is a movie about a High School Musical as an idea. So yes, to take us away from that like weirdly comforting.
Well, they're in high school and it's a musical.
Right. So then we're
Damn.
stuck with some like country club talent show is not as good a title.
Right.
And yet is more accurate to what's going on in this.
Yeah. Yeah, they really fucked up. They fucked up, and it isn't funny either. That's like, I didn't really like the first one until it became funny, and the characters that are funny are very good. And this movie is not a comedy. I didn't laugh once, and that's all I was really. I don't like the music. I can't pay attention to it, and I don't find the characters interesting. So I was coming into it like, all right, this is like a mildly funny movie, and this just was fucking boring.
They fell into a bit of a trap where I feel like when there are funny characters like Sharpay in a movie that's over the top, like High School Musical, that's for like a Disney Channel, like a very pop whatever, I feel like often the tendency is to make the characters too big in the second movie.
Right.
Like people just sort of lose track of, they're like, oh, people liked what I was doing in the first one. Let me do that, but like more of it. But it's like, no, we liked what you were doing. We didn't like more of it. We wanted the same thing.
This would be like if Harry Potter 1 went right to Harry Potter 7.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the whole point of Harry Potter is it's like you don't really care what fucking bullshit they get up to. It's you like these 3 losers in their own loser way. You like
They're
the
friends.
setting. You like the magic. You like all this small stuff. And then
the strength of the books are like the shit that happens in between classes.
Yes.
Or the shit at breakfast that morning, which obviously I
And-
understand the reality of movie making. Each movie would have to be like 6 hours long to encapsulate the detail present in the book.
yeah, but my point is the books get bad once like 5, 6,
Right.
7, where they actually like, all right, now we got to make this
they
a
pack
big
too much drama in.
right. When what we loved about it was the small stuff. And much like the
Well, it's
first High
kinda
School
like-
Musical, yeah.
I agree.
The common complaint about Game of Thrones, where at a certain point in the series, they're just like zipping around fucking Westeros, like
I gave up.
Zhoo, 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 zhoo. And you're like, well, most of the first fucking like 4 years of the show are them like walking for fucking ever.
I liked that.
Right, like, and that's where like all these nice, interesting things happen between characters, where it's about characters. So by the end of anything,
Yeah, like rape.
where for expediency's sake, you
So
have to just
interesting.
yeah. So yes, the point where I think we're all saying is that in High School Musical 2, they're like, okay, people like the high school, they like the musical. Let's get rid of both the high school and the musical and see what we have left. And what they have left is a weirdly grim class struggle that is mostly about like the waking nightmare of capitalism and the oligarchy of Bush era America.
But it literally a class struggle that makes no sense because for the most part it seems like everyone actually is the same class.
Right. I agree. I never felt like you never get a sense in the first one that class is an issue. So suddenly to have this be a part of it now and everyone seemed very much on the same page and everyone lives in giant houses that you go and see, to suddenly have it be like, oh my God, I can afford my first car. And even though daddy's probably just giving you his 3-year-old Beamer, you know?
Yeah.
Well, Troy gets that dink-ass truck, the fuck wagon.
Oh, my God. He gets the fuck
They
wagon
don't call
from
it that
his
in
dad.
the movie. I'm just... If I had
They
the truck,
didn't?
I'd probably call it the fuck wagon. No.
I pirated mine,
They
so
called it the clunker.
Yeah, it's. I think the also the scene where they're like, you got to make this scary. The like when she talks to the bald cuck Sharpay, and she's like, they're now all in your world. You got to fucking make them hate their job so they quit. And he's just like, you just got to do your job. And they're like, what? I just have to do my job. And he's like, yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. That scene was mind boggling to me. Like, you were hired to do a job. Why is it so wild that you would be asked to actually do the job?
So just like the wooden fridge, this is like what rich executives are like, what would be scary? And it's like, oh, if I had to like do a job. Oh, that sounds awful.
Well, and then it would be even better, like, because this is like derived entirely by white rich, like, absolute assholes. The kids are like making like elaborate French omelets and shit. Like in like the mess hall when he goes around to get his food, he gets like a poached egg and like a carefully folded French omelet and like a fucking like it's just like
cinnamon bun
or
or croissant.
They can't even like imagine like anyone not eating like the bullshit that they stuff down their faces at the exact same country clubs they go to. You know, it just sucks ass.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but for verisimilitude, a baker doesn't necessarily know how to fry. Okay, so this basketball boy who gets put in charge of the kitchen, and he like fucking
put a name on it. It's Zeke.
Zeke, right? He's suddenly like he can just do anything, and I find that unbelievable that he can bake, play basketball, and also like be the head chef at a restaurant.
He's not the head chef. He is assisting the head chef.
Well, also, I want to point out that this movie came out...
They say that. They show us the head chef. He looks
you
like
do?
a loon.
Okay.
Yes.
For some reason, I just thought there were
This
kids
movie's
running
not-
around.
It's not that far into the
Right?
YouTube era. So, like, while Zeke maybe could be an autodidact using, like, the magic of YouTube.
He could have learned some
Oh,
skills.
okay.
Right, because, like, honestly, making a croissant is remarkably difficult.
It's
Like,
very
Oh my
hard.
God.
like laminating dough.
So
like,
much butter.
Right, exactly. So, like, you know...
Cold butter.
well,
Right.
for the lamination process, you have to get those
you
flaky,
fold
those
and
flaky
fold.
layers.
I've seen that
those
episode
flaky
of the Great
layers.
British Bake Off.
I think, in a way, we all have, Charles.
Lamination.
I mean, only if you've seen
Sulky
it.
bomb in it.
But like the fact that also this like, it makes sense that there are high schoolers running around in high school. But then when something, the country club is, I mean, maybe I've never worked in a country club, but literally to be like no adults and it's just high schoolers running around a new setting, it just
And putting
is
them in
silly.
charge of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, run this entire country club,
And
you
they're
fucking
like-
16-year-olds.
And then they're like, but why did you mess it up? You're supposed to do it good. And they're like, yeah, they're like 16. That's
Yeah.
why they messed it up. Also, I feel that it would be remiss of us not to mention the very, very racist number, Huma Numa.
Oh, yeah.
You did swing at that, which I'm impressed at.
Hua.
Okay, maybe just quit while we're ahead here.
But so Sharpay and Ryan
it's
did that
very
last
bad.
one with the
Yes.
Spanish intro. Will it ever
Yes,
stop?
and I would argue this one is even way,
Oh my
way
God.
this
worse.
was
This is a
nigh
hate crime.
unwatchable. Yeah,
It's really bad.
right.
I
like,
skipped it.
I guess
That's good.
That's you didn't miss much. I guess
No.
the idea that's somewhat bold is that like rich white dicks are appropriative and comically like cartoonish in their colonial racism, which I suppose I think they're just playing it for laughs,
Yeah.
which is like in a way more ghoulish.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like,
I think you're giving
it's
it
just-
weight.
indigenous Hawaiian culture is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, I watching this movie, I keep thinking about like if like the Brits had made High School Musical too, like the rich kids would be like kicking them in the teeth and like humiliating them. Like I would love to see a culture with like a really powerful class obsession, like tackle similar material where like at the end Troy get like shot or something, or like I don't know. There's like the British.
You want to see Les Mis.
Right, like it's annoying because in a typical Disney fashion, they bring up this theme that's actually compelling and interesting, and then like manage to resolve it in the most mild, banal
Who
way
would
possible.
you rather have directed this?
Great question, Mike Lee.
Mike Lee? I think I want to see the Lynn Ramsey High School Musical too.
We can dream.
Yeah.
Allison, what director would you want to see?
Who's the guy who directed Chris Columbus?
Oh, you want to go back to the early Potter stuff.
Yeah, I want to see some grand magic happen.
I'm sorry. So your version of it is it's magic?
High School Magic High School Musical.
Oh my God, this sounds great.
Sorry, we have to catch up to this idea. Your sequel is they can do magic.
That would make it better than what we saw.
I cannot argue with that.
When Troy uses those pipes of his and Gabriella busts out those lungs, to me that was a form of magic.
Well,
That's
you know what pipe wasn't busting in this movie?
Okay.
Chad's?
Ryan's?
Troy's.
Or, well, a lot of
nobody's pipes,
Nobody.
Josh.
If you told me Ryan's pipe busted along the way, I'd be like, Ryan's vibes like he may have had that pipe bust on old Chad or something.
So I got to talk about
Gabriella's
Chad.
like genuine. Let's save Chad for a minute. Gabriella's like genuine disinterest in Troy. I think is amazing in this movie. Where like their relationship as depicted seems like a nightmare.
Yeah, and it's great. I really wish she had never come back. Or the ending sucks.
It's like she didn't.
But like she leaves and she's like, you know what? Do your thing. I'm fine. I'm gonna go do my life because this sucks.
To help us continue to have like any sort of attachment to their relationship, they would have needed to build it in the second movie, where the first movie is just building their relationship with the push and pull of like, are they going to sing? Are they not? And they're having like parallel experiences with basketball and Smarty Pants Club. And in the second movie, we don't see their relationship pretty much at all, except for him kind of messing up. So, like, we just don't really care whether or not they get back together.
Right. In fact, you don't want them to.
No, you sort of don't. You kind of want him to experiment with Sharpay a little bit.
Absolutely.
I mean, why
Right.
not?
Like Sharpay's bringing genuine like lust and passion and interest in Troy. And Gabriella's like, you got me a necklace. Thank you.
So they do set it up that her main interest is just having him because she just like wants that
Seems
lifestyle.
that way. Because she's like cool, he's cool, and she's cool,
Right.
and together they can be the alphas of the school.
So that's why I do think Sharpay's character is the best in this movie because while she's given her motives initially are pretty boring, that she just like wants to have a cool boyfriend. I think she learns, she gives her trophy to her brother, she relinquishes a lot of things. And she sort of does start to appreciate Troy as a person rather than just this idea of a cool boyfriend.
Does she? I mean, I feel like she doesn't really. Yeah, a little bit. I feel like the biggest change that comes with her is that she sees all her friends doing something or all her schoolmates doing something without her, and she feels left out, and she realizes that she isolated herself.
Yeah. That's an
Look, we're
important
getting to this
lesson.
point in the show. I mean, Sharpay's my MVP.
Are we doing this already? We're doing it?
Yeah.
We're like 50 minutes in. I think we
Okay.
can. I don't think it's too soon to say. I mean, Sharpay carries this movie. She really does.
Well, that's only because she's the only one who's been given any plot points.
Well, I know, but I'm saying the weight falls
Like
on
they
her,
all
and I
revolve
believe
around her.
I believe she carries it. I think Ashley
Okay.
Tisdale carries that weight. I
I
wish that
think-
they'd given her more compelling plot points, but I admire that. Like, I think she gives a very vivacious performance, and I thought her energy was the most interesting.
I have a lot to choose from. First of all, I know she's a very small part in the movie, but when Mama slam dunks that basketball into the sink, I mean, I was like MVP. That was incredible.
Well, that's your niche sexual fetish, as I recall.
Yeah, it's either large women picking me up or MILFs slam dunking basketballs into the kitchen.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's literally MVP there because of the basketball trick.
Yeah,
Right, she's the only one that scores a point this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Troy, who is pretty bad at basketball at his best, is even worse in this movie.
But he's ripped. They made us
Yeah, I was gonna
aware
say-
that he was ripped.
That's why it's weird that they made all the girls wear tankinis with soggy bottoms, and they let him like show off his like washboard abs. That's weird.
Because I find him like offensively ripped in Baywatch. Like it looks like a werewolf. Like he's about to like pop out of his own skin. You know, but like
Yeah.
it's crazy to go back to 2007, and
Right.
the dude was like comically jacked in
People
high school.
are always saying like, "Oh my God, Zac Efron is like." I've seen all these weird memes being like, "He's aged with me," and like they show like a picture of High School Musical to like his new version of himself. He's like, I think he's always been the same like ripped dummy, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
he literally emotionally is very much in the same place. People were like, "Oh, Zac Efron's dad bod or something in 2020," and it's like the man is remarkably muscular.
Yeah, for
like
someone who probably spends his nights drinking
Right.
and his days sleeping, he is very, very ripped.
well, and also we're talking about how strange Leonardo DiCaprio's body has like evolved over time, which is like so fascinating. Because they
Yeah.
both have like kid face still, but like Leo's body is like this very strange entity where
Wait.
no one's like, I want to see Leo's shirt off. He's just like he's such a weird guy.
Did you just mention the Disney original kid face again?
No, he's got like just like he reminds me like
No, he said he has a clit face.
A
his
clit
face looks like a clit.
Okay,
He's got a
cool.
big old clit face.
Yum.
You all know what I'm talking about.
Oh, we sure do, Josh.
Okay, so you did mention Chad earlier, and I know
Right,
we're
so
in this conversation.
I'm going through my end, but this movie was boring, and I just so my MVP. That's all that sort of like got me through it because I went from like, oh, mom, she's great, and then she never came back. So I'm like, all right, she can't be the MVP. I briefly thought to bring Zac Efron's abdominal muscles into the MVP tournament, but then he put his shirt back on, and once again, not back in the movie. So very brief. I don't think neither of those performances earned their place.
If I was going to re-edit it, I would get in one long, slow tracking shot just right up that bod.
And maybe the abs are talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Oh
like,
my god.
hello.
So this is in
Trapeze
your
like,
magic
Let me oil
one.
those up.
This is in
Yes.
Magic Musical. Abs
Yeah.
talk. I'm Harry, and I know the spell to make my abdominal muscles talk. It's
Yeah.
abnomino linguando.
Yeah, so just to be clear, Allison's remake is far more sexual and magical. So
Yeah. And then Hermione has a spell that. Never mind. Fuck that. That's stupid. I'm gonna fucking committed myself.
You're fine. You're fine.
I committed
No, yes,
myself.
please continue going through every character in the movie at a snail's pace.
So Chad, okay? I love
boy.
Chad. Chad was my MVP last episode. And I was like, I want more of that Chad. Chad sucks
This Chad
this movie.
fellow.
Chad sucks. He's boring. He's everything. Like, if you read all the Letterboxd reviews from strangers about this movie, they're all like, oh my God, it's the Empire. Everyone said every other review is the Empire Strikes Back of High School Musical, which is like bullshit. People are just like, it's just like they're repeating other people saying the same thing. It doesn't make it true.
Well, to be fair, both movies open with a massive battle on a frozen ice planet.
Oh, that's right.
So there, I understand that parallel. And of course, we haven't mentioned when Troy's hand is cut off by.
Okay, and then Yoda does show
Right.
up in this, and he teaches them a valuable
Yeah.
lesson about fathers.
So, but
Oh,
those
wow.
things aside,
But every other review that isn't
was
mentioning
really good.
Empire Strikes Back is talking about the gay dance scene on the baseball field, and it's like, yeah, that would have been cool if
He's
the
by
movie.
himself. How is that gay? Sorry.
it is some of the gayest baseball I've seen.
Well, no, he's like Chad.
Oh,
and-
the baseball scene.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that was so
Oh,
gay.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
not
for
the
sure.
baseball scene in Empire Strikes Back. The baseball scene in High School Musical.
Again, one of the best.
No,
Star
I
Wars
thought you
moments.
were talking about his solo dance
Well, we were talking about me and Allie once watched.
Chad, you're talking about Chad. Got it.
We
I'm
once
talking about
watched
Chad
half
and
of
Ryan.
Twilight before falling asleep, and I thought that the baseball scene in Twilight was like one of the most perverse, like horrible things to happen to baseball ever. But no, this was.
Just because the baseball scene in High School Musical is gay doesn't make it perverse.
Oh Lord, I've walked into something
just
here.
walked into
I want to
something very
apologize
bad.
to everyone listening. I'm saying it is a very bizarre
I
depiction.
am a little bit gay, so it's okay to say, never mind.
Well, Allison does have a tank top that says, "How dare you assume I'm straight?"
I'm wearing it right now, actually.
Oh my God! Whoa!
Yeah.
This is great.
How dare you assume I'm straight?
The
That's
hug
my
me
shirt.
sweater to the shirt. Wow. You guys
the thing
planned
with
this.
Allison, there's always another shoe that's going to drop.
I'm
Sometimes
like an
literally.
onion. I've got layers.
Oh my
Okay.
God. I really wanted more between Chad and Ryan. I thought, like, if you're gonna bring us two pretty, like, at this point, explicitly gay characters dancing around each other, their relationship doesn't do anything. That's the extent of it. That one scene, and everyone's like, "Wow, this is like this is like such a huge thing to have this like gay tension between characters." Like, if you don't fulfill that promise, then it's nothing. It's zero.
I remember that happening in real time and people being like, wow, so subversive for Disney. And it's like, no, if they open mouth kiss, maybe, but they don't.
Okay,
they
hold
don't.
on for a minute. We live in a world where in the Beauty and the Beast remake,
Okay, no.
Disney
no,
shares this beautiful moment
which I blinked and missed.
of homosexuality
Literally.
where Josh Gad briefly dances with the character who is put into drag earlier in the film by the chest of drawers. And that was to me
Let me tell you what's happening here.
the
This
Justin
is somebody
Truest.
taking a piece of bread. They go, ooh, with the bread, and crumbs fall everywhere. And then all the scavengers are like, crumbs. It's good enough for me. It's like a cake.
And my
so
point is that they
we're-
don't even need to kiss. They don't even need to. They need to. The filmmakers need to explicitly be doing something with this relationship rather than just have a dance number that you can interpret whatever way you want. So Chad's
Yeah.
out.
Yes, it's quite cowardly.
Okay,
And
so no
also-
Chad, no Chad.
But additionally, they reduce Chad into like one of the worst roles in these movies of the best friend who only
Right.
dispenses moralizing.
Oh,
where it's like
God.
in the first movie, Chad has to confront his own prejudices and overcome his own like confusion about identity. And in this movie, he just like fucking like
He's
nags
sad
at
because
Troy.
he's not,
Sucks.
It
not
sucks.
besties.
So
Which-
anything fun about Chad is gone.
Yeah, like I hate capitalism, but like Troy, I think is making some good life choices, having like being a part of a capitalist structure. So everyone being on his dick all the time about like,
Well,
oh,
I
you
think
should
the way
play.
that he treats Chad in that one scene where he's like, "You forgot the cheese on my burger," like that's pretty crappy behavior for a friend.
Right, and they're
Yes,
not
and certainly
great.
The racial coding of that moment is not lost on
No,
me in
it's
2020.
not.
That was
Um,
There are
bad.
lots of weird racist moments. in
Yeah,
the movie.
but I'm kind of with you because, like, Allison, I think you touched on this in a way that was very sensitive earlier about how, like, or no, sorry, with Charles. I confuse you two all the time. To be
That's
honest,
fine. I
Someone
love
was
that.
talking
Same.
about. Someone was talking about how, like, you know, this movie does tackle some issues that high schoolers do deal with, like what does it mean to grow and change, X, Y, and Z.
I think you said that, babe.
Yeah, I'm pretty smart like that. It doesn't sound like I would say, doesn't it? Okay, so like in this movie, they're like basically like, how fucking dare you change, Troy? I don't recognize the Troy you were. And like the dude is like 16 in this movie, and like you probably should be changing
Yes.
at that point in your life. Like, so that message of like, I think it was very confusing to mix up like weird half-assed class solidarity observations and being like a good friend and being like respectful and loyal with don't ever change, motherfucker, or we're gonna ice you. So like I thought that really that it just seemed very reactionary by the end of the movie, where I kind of agreed with you, Charles, as like a sold out 30-year-old. It's like, no, like make some connections, dude. Like
Yes.
you're in high school. This is all you're gonna forget all of this.
This is
All the
gonna
coke
suck.
and the pills and the booze, the uppers, the downers, the random sex with
But
strangers.
I think the point is that he didn't communicate well.
Right, and
Like
that's
if he had
fine.
just told people what was going on, it probably none of this movie needed to happen.
But I don't think that's true. I think they make such a huge point of him changing as the problem. It's like it's always like, why aren't you there with? It's like they're not saying like, oh, I wish you had. You know, we can figure out another time to play basketball together. It's like, dude, you're changing. You're not acknowledging us as your friends anymore. And it's like, that's true, but they're also not saying, go fly, my Troy. Be the person you want to be, like the whole fucking point of the first movie was.
But also, like, let's look at the fact that Troy is handed all of these things on a silver platter. Most of the B characters in this movie are people of color, like a lot of them are, and they're being painted as like working class people, which I don't think they actually are. But there is this sort of weird power dynamic where, like, if they had dug into that a little bit, like, Troy, you're being handed all these things.
Right.
You know, Disney Channel would be like, you're a cis straight white dude. Yeah, we get it.
Right.
And whatever. Like, that's an interesting story. If they're like, hey, like, you know, let's talk about this. But
Yeah,
no.
if Troy ends up endorsing reparations and Medicare for all by the end of the movie, now that's a flick.
That's
Bernie
a finish.
2020.
Rather
That's
than
a
just
flick right
a
there.
slow fade out. The ending of this movie
Oh,
is
God.
bonkers.
It sucks.
It's like
It sucks.
they're all in the pool and just like, It's like when a 70s song made for the radio just loops and fades. It's like they don't have a way to conclude this.
Well, also, look, I don't want to be the bad guy here, but let's say you did order Swiss on your burger and they forgot it.
out.
I'm just saying.
I have something very depressing to say before I reveal my very secret MVP.
Oh, it's Troy.
There's a 4-star letterboxd review by Isabel that says this movie invented LGBT culture.
Oh, no.
Isabel,
And I'm
report
just
to
gonna
jail.
move on.
Isabel,
Just gonna
I'll
move
see you in my
on.
office later.
Isabel, you're in
Okay.
trouble.
Yeah.
That's a sad thing you've said.
This is the shit that's like people like this movie for the wrong reasons. It sucks. Ryan gets my MVP. I think he's not only just I love his energy. He's friends with everybody. He's inclusive. He's loving. He doesn't have any ulterior motives other than to be respected and loved. And he's still the funniest person in the movie. He's got the best hats. And he chooses not to sing the racist Hawaiian song. So
after singing the racist Hawaiian song.
And never says that that's why he's,
Yes,
anyway.
okay. So, Charles, you've spent the requisite 20 minutes on your MVP
Thank
pick.
you.
So, Allison, let's start to close out the episode. Your thoughts. Who was the MVP of High School Musical 2?
Well, I haven't given this much thought, so let me talk until I figure this out.
That's all we do, so.
yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
We've got some... We don't have any good contenders, unfortunately.
Well, hold on. Do you want to go through each character and talk about them
not
individually?
gonna
It's
do
a pretty good
that.
idea.
I thought about the basketball,
I'm sorry.
the pool,
Chad's basketball?
So
Vanessa Hudgens' bathing suit.
inanimate objects are the recurring
I thought
theme
about
here.
all these things. Let's see.
Well, how about the landscape of New Mexico?
It could be the
The
landscape
land of
New
enchantment, Josh.
Mexico.
It's beautiful there. I love it there.
Yeah.
Let's just. I'm gonna just go out on a wing, and I'm gonna say,
Sure.
My MVP is Kelsey because she looked thoroughly over it the whole movie,
She
and
sure
that's how I felt.
Actually, if anyone's carrying the banner for LGBT culture in this movie,
bring
Kelsey's
Kelsey out of
outfits-
the closet,
yes.
please. And also, I love her just rolling her eyes the whole movie. She has like 2 lines. So,
Right.
Kelsey.
Kelsey
MVP.
Kelsey seems like a tortured soul, so let's give her a little bit of love there. Well, everyone, we've done such an incisive analysis of High School Musical 2, the beloved 2007 hit that we all uniformly did not like. What is the vibe in the room? Are we asking when will it end? Now, Allison, you are disqualified from this segment of the podcast because you have seen
What?
High School Musical 3.
I got
okay.
to say it the
No.
first time, though.
No, Josh. We've seen movies in the series before. Like you've watched all the
Okay,
Harold and
fine.
Kumar movies.
Okay, hold on. If you're not going to join me to team, that's not bad. Harold's actually very respectable. If you're not going to join me in teaming up to silence the one woman to ever appear on our podcast, Charles,
I won't be silent.
what's the point of-
Solidarity forever.
What's the point of being a man together? if
I mean,
you're not
I do
gonna join me in this?
remember one of the recent times where Allison and you and I hung out. She did give me the opportunity to speak for all women, I believe.
That was like a year ago, but I stand by it.
I mean, we haven't
You're
seen each
re-upping
other
that?
in a
Jesus
year
Christ.
because of this.
We've seen each
Bullshit.
other in 6, 7.
I'm saying
Oh,
if we
saw
count it
each other a
back,
few months ago.
Yeah, you guys forgetting this? We hung out not long ago.
Yeah, it was like a month ago.
I'm saying like last. I think it might have been the third time I've seen you.
Okay. Yes, fine. Allison can share her thoughts. Allison, let's start with you then. Are you asking when will it end? At this point in the series, do you want to see a third one?
At this point of the series, if I hadn't ever seen the third one before, I would say, yes, I'm asking when will it end. I want out. Please
wants
get me out
out.
of this hellscape. Please.
Wow. Nice.
That's what I'm saying if I hadn't seen the third one.
Well, Charles, I've asked her to be my wife, and we see eye to eye on many things in life.
In fact, I asked when will it end when I first saw the second one. I hated
Wow,
it
so
so much
nothing's
the first
changed.
time. No.
So in this, we are, as in our hearts entwined forever in the vision of God. We are one.
They just kiss.
Honestly, again, I'm living with someone who has been, I'll say this, hyping up the third one quite a bit. She's been doing the Arsenio hoo for some reason about it. But yes, in a vacuum, had I just seen this, not knowing what the third, this was bad. This
Right.
did not advance anything that I cared about, and it made a movie that I found pleasant enough, quite a drag. So yeah, I'm asking when will it end?
This is very weird, but I am not.
Tell us more.
We've seen some phase 2 duds in the past, and I still really like these characters, and I think that where the movie fell apart was in its bizarre choices to make this not in high school and have all the plot points fall apart, where I still want to see Sharpay and Ryan and this balloon man that's now appeared on my screen, 2 balloon creatures. Wow, that's very cute. I'm involved, and I'm hoping it goes back to high school, and then I'm hoping that I get another
It's fucking
one.
better.
So that's what I'm saying. This is like a shitty lull that I'm hoping will explode into something that's perfect again in terms of
Let's
these
get
movies.
those pipes busted
I
again.
think that's really nice and positive of you, and it's nice to end on like a good note.
Right. Like weird glasses people. This is awful.
Good. It's the High
I
School
haven't
Musical 2
seen
of
your face
messenger
the
filters.
entire. The way the camera's been. You've been out of frame the entire time, and now this is what I'm seeing. Disgusting. Oh, I got it. I got the.
Well, we're all wearing
I hate
glasses
We look
now.
like minions.
We look like minions.
Hello.
Yeah, wearing those like fake porn glasses. Okay, so let's close out the episode by we'll all sing "We're All in This Together" again. I think that worked pretty well
don't
the
know
first
how
time.
Oh my
5, 6,
God.
5, 6.
We're
We're all
all
in
in
this
this
together.
together.
Once
We're
we
all
know
in
that we
this
are, we're all
together.
stars, and we see that we're all.
Do you think this is where the
Yes.
recent trend in businesses using "We're in this together" is coming from? Is like a throwback to High School
Well,
Musical?
I think it's
We
a big
just
throwback.
we've been talking about
Yeah, because
that.
the McDonald's firehouse. I don't really know why. I mean, I haven't really been paying attention to the news for the last 3 months. But
What
for
are we in together about?
Yeah, for some reason, the local McDonald's is doing like I guess like maybe a promotion.
Solidarity forever.
Forever. Solidarity.
Wait, with McDonald's?
forever. Yeah.
No. They're suggesting that we all have solidarity with each other,
Yeah.
which is beautiful, but we don't know why.
And not for a specific purpose. It's just nice to feel together. And isn't that nice?
I'm in.
Josh and I sounded the same to me.
Dude, you're speaking really quiet now.
Well, now I'm talking quietly. Now I'm talking loudly. Now I'm talking loudly, and now I'm talking
Yeah.
quietly.
You're also. I can only see.
It's okay.
Josh's
My
right
fault.
shoulder and.
Oh my god. You little prima donna. You can see more than my right shoulder.
Now I
Just
can.
show him you.
There
Just
we
show
go.
him
No,
you.
no.
There we go.
Show him you.
Allison's got to talk into the thing, so.
Hello, Yom Kippur.
All right. Charles, you ready to go?
Oh yeah, I am recording.
Us too. Okay. 5, 4.
3, 2, 1.